How would you like to make 10 grand?
Drug dealing?
It's not drug dealing. It's smuggling. Me crossing the border alone? Huge red flag. But families, hi, they don't get a second look. So I need you to be my wife. Look, I hired this dork that lives in my building and a little gutter punk. Kenny, meet your new sister.
I've always wanted a sister.
Get it off of me.
We just have to dress up like a squeaky clean all-American family.
Okay, we're the Millers, and I'm not impressed. I am not anyway impressed by this movie at all.
Tell us more, Corey.
Yeah, but what should be?
Why?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, it's one of those movies where it had really funny parts in the trailer, and then there were little hints of things in there where I said, that could be what this movie really is right there. And I'm afraid to say that those little parts are what most of the movie was to me. I'm getting eyes right here like everybody loved this.
I'm not getting you. Okay. Explain it a little bit better.
I like how you jumped into your review without even talking about what the movie is.
Yeah.
Hey, look. I got
Come
time
on,
to.
We're the Millers, man. This is the tour de force this year.
Okay, all right.
You're going to have to defend yourself. So.
Highly anticipated film.
Pistols at dawn.
Am I putting too much into this right now? Well, fuck this movie. Let's go. Good night. No, man. I really liked what the premise that they have here, because what they're doing is they have a sort of a family film in the guise in the guise of a raunchy comedy. I mean,
it's a National Lampoon Vacation in Bizarro World.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as good.
Well, no, but what is?
No, you're
National
right.
Lampoon.
and I like the setup. I don't know what I think they could have done a lot with this premise than what they did in actuality in the film, and I'll explain what I'm saying in a little while. Well, I'm going to get to that. First, let me. People are saying, well, what is this premise that you're speaking of, Corey? Dad, you just jump into things. You don't tell anybody anything.
Would you be willing to take a lie detector test while you're giving this review?
Yeah, it's right here in my crotch. You want to grab it? Every time you feel a throb, I'm lying.
All right, Leon, hook up the electrodes.
You got to activate it first. You got to go up and down. All right?
Let me go get the jumper cables.
Yeah. He already has them, apparently.
But no, you have Jason Sudeikis as David. David's probably damn near 40, if not 40, and still dealing weed like he's a guy in his 20s. And he has a rich client though, Ed Helms, who's so rich he can buy whales and shit and put in his
He's
in
not
his office.
Client. He's the hire dealer.
That's it.
That's who he works for.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You're right, because when Ed Helms says, "Hey man, don't you owe me about $40,000?" and David says, "Well, shit, man, I got robbed and I had to pay rent." And he's like, "All right, you know what? You better get my goddamn money." And he says, "Listen, I got an out for you here. Look, nobody's gonna kill anybody. Nobody has to go to that violent extreme. Okay, look, just do something for me."
This ain't Breaking Bad.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to ease. Hey, look, just do one simple thing for me. I need for you to take this RV that I got for you, drive down to Mexico, fill that RV up with tons of marijuana, and just simply drive it back over the border. And
It's gonna be a cakewalk.
a cakewalk. And I like it. And this is a line from the movie. Ed Helms says, I'm not doing that now. I'm sorry. David says, I'm not doing that.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
And Ed Helms says, hey, guess what? You don't have a fucking choice. So
Yeah, he's all nice and polite until he's like, I don't know if I feel like it. It's like, oh, you should feel like you're dead.
yeah. And so, it's just, and hey, here's the upshot here. David gets to choose any way he wants to do it. There's no instructions. Get creative. Do whatever you got to do to make it work. So he looks and sees some people, and he says, and he sees a cop talking to a family. The cop is being real nice to his family. He says, you know what? That's it. If I am like a pure conservative white bread guy, middle class looking, non-threatening guy, nobody's going to question me about anything, except I don't have a family. Well, fortunately in this building, there's people that are anything but family value people. There's a bitchy ass stripper played by Jennifer Aniston that lives there. She's all cranky and grumpy, doesn't even like him.
Sorry.
Honey, hi. You made it.
Eat it, dick.
Sorry. Wow, you look really very
Don't. Just don't, all right?
Okay.
Hi, Mom.
Jesus. And who's that?
That's your daughter, Casey.
Hey.
I want $30,000 now.
What?
Okay, have a safe flight.
What? No, okay. Fine. Blood sucker.
All right, happy wife, happy life. Hi, kids.
There's this runaway skank across the street played by Emma Roberts. The only person that is close to being anything that is the family values he's looking for is some old dumbass, nerd-ass kid that's living in the apartment down below him.
Howdy doody.
Yeah, howdy doody, pretty much. But fortunately for him, he's so nerdy that his mom don't even like him, has abandoned him for about a week. And he says, all right, you know what? I'll take what I can get. I'll offer these people, because not only is David going to be able to pay off his debt, but he'll make some money from this. And he says, all right, I'll pay you guys some cash if you just pretend to be my family, and we go across the border, do this job, come back, and you guys don't even have to ever speak to me again. I like that setup, except once they get together, it's funny, it's hilarious to me, but once they actually start cleaning up, they get together, they start interacting with each other, that's where the movie kind of goes away from being clever raunchy jokes to just being easy laughs, easy sex jokes.
It's not even really so much I felt like a problem with the jokes, because I think that, like, there's a lot of chemistry between all these people, which is very surprising and I would not have expected at all. And I think that a lot of the jokes are written to go a little bit past their initial premise and just enough, really. Like, they never bring them to that point you're sick of them. Like a lot of these movies, you just keep going. You're like, all right, the joke's over, move on. This movie tends to get in and get out pretty fast, which I really appreciate. And it's helped by Sudeikis, who is, playing that role of the eternal wiseacre, guy, the Bill Murray, or the, what's the guy from Community?
Jeff Winger.
Yeah.
Dan Harmon?
No.
The actor. I forget
Jesus.
his name.
From
But yeah,
what-
Jeff Winger on Community.
Danny Glover.
Joel.
No,
Pee Wee
not
Herman.
But he's the wise. He's the smart guy who's wisecracking, who doesn't need anybody. He's an alpha, but it's about him eventually just finding out that maybe he does need people. Maybe that whole idea of having a family is more important to him and all these other people than he ever would have thought. And it's that softness that's there that you're like, what is this even doing in this incredibly raunchy R-rated film? Maybe a film like this needs some kind of backbone. I'm not sure that's the one, because it just feels a little confusing at points, especially because once they've settled on that path, everything the plot does is so incredibly predictable after that. Like, there's nothing you don't see coming. Even a lot of the jokes.
It seemed like sitcom humor to me, like bad sitcom humor. The one thing I got really, really annoyed at with the movie, where I was like, okay, I'm expecting this to go absolutely nowhere. It's not going to hit any new. It's not trying to reach any new bars of comedy or anything like that. I got frustrated when I noticed the first half of the movie. It seemed like they threw in jokes during post. Every time a character led up into a joke that didn't work, whenever their faces were off screen, you hear their voices finishing a joke that you can tell somebody went in and wrote, because they're like, wow, this first half of the movie is not working at all. Can we throw something in there? But it's not going to match. Well, have it when the characters are walking away and have them say something somewhat clever or trying to be funny in some way or another.
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like bad ADR work. When I was watching the first half, I was like, oh no, it's one of those films where I can tell nobody really was into this premise.
It's funny you should say that, because I don't like to nitpick a lot on the production of a movie if the humor's there.
Neither
if the
do
story's
I,
going
yeah.
But man, one of the things that I noticed about this movie is that they have bad reaction shots.
Oh, yeah.
They always cut to somebody like, who?
Yeah, I know. But I mean, just the sequence of events, like when that family got together, it seemed like a bunch of really bad skits being put together with this premise that it seemed like they didn't even know how to take this in any kind of creative or funny way. Like we brought up the National Lampoon Vacation movies, where you see that family get into crazy ass situations due to crazy characters that they run into, where this film doesn't have any of that. They introduce like drug dealers and all this stuff, but they do nothing with those characters. Those characters aren't funny, and you're still relying on the family to provide the humor due to the situation that they're stuck in, and it just doesn't work.
I gotta go away from you a bit there as well and say Nick Offerman and I forget who plays his wife there are
Catherine
actually
Hahn.
two of the funniest characters in this whole film, I think, who are a reoccurring other family they keep running into. That of course has one of those, like, when you find out what he does for a living, then you you already know how the film's going to end, pretty much. You can see it coming
Yeah,
a
you
million
can see
miles
that,
away.
yeah.
But like I said, like the strengths in this film is not the plotting, to be sure. That's it. The plotting is downright weak. It's the fact that it genuinely manages to be funny through a lot of it. And I think that their characters interacting with them end up being some of the funniest sequences in this whole film.
You've been
but Leon,
quiet,
you haven't
Leon.
said shit. I'm with you to open
Because
your mouth.
I'm just kind of like, wow, I laughed the entire time in this movie. I thought it was funny as shit.
I thought it was funny too.
I mean, I was sitting there next to you. We were both laughing through the whole thing.
That's the problem.
Jason Sudeikis,
exactly.
Jason
We need to
Sudeikis
separate you
as
two.
as the lead, as the
Boyfriends.
smart ass lead.
Yeah.
He had great lines all the time, and maybe they were writing stuff on the fly, but it was funny shit. And yeah, as far as like, well, the plot was predictable. It's like, well, yeah, duh, man, you guys lock onto something, and you're like a dog with a raw T-bone steak. Arr, I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. It's like
It's a shitty tasted T-bone steak,
Yeah,
by the
this
way.
is. I mean, these things go this way, and yet they were still able to write something pretty funny. And the chemistry between everybody was so much of what carried the movie for me. I never stopped having a good time. I found myself laughing all the way through the end, and even that gooey center you're talking about, where it hit a soft spot. Not really. It still had its cynical tone all the way to the last shot of the film. I found the movie very entertaining. I'm sorry. I mean, I know it wasn't.
You don't
Seth
have to
Rogen
apologize.
and his buddies.
Don't worry.
This is all about people giving their opinions, and he has to get that. Did you notice how his nose is touching the ceiling right now? He's looking so down at us. I'm sorry. I know it wasn't this piece of art that you were expecting.
I'm not your
but I
girlfriend,
laughed.
dude. Yeah, I'm not your
funny.
girlfriend. You don't have to
I don't
apologize to
understand
me.
how I'm the highbrow guy all of a sudden.
right?
Because I tell you how you're the highbrow.
You were just doing what you were describing.
Exactly,
him as
right?
doing.
I did not do that to anybody. I respect people's opinions. I sit here.
Is this part of Spill 2.0?
Yes, it is.
Did I miss the memo on that one?
I sit
Leon,
up here-
I'm sorry, where's my phone? Let me check my email. The new thing. The new thing is Corey's respect and opinions.
you know what?
I didn't know I had
Did
a
you not
text.
feel a little condescended to just now?
Oh yeah, especially how Leon keeps looking at me like somebody took a shit on my head.
I know,
Yeah.
he look at you like a child. Well, I'm sorry, it's not what you wanted, but this movie was great because I said so.
No, but I'm saying something
got that
direct.
voice.
I'm saying something
Yeah.
directly
I'm
opposite of
sorry.
everything you said.
If I can interject here,
Once you get these two started,
I know.
what's the point?
I know.
Are you guys out?
Us two,
I know you two
started.
yucking it up to this terrible.
How dare he talk?
The only reason why you like the fucking movie is because you two sitting up there
I know.
holding hands laughing through
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Wait,
That's
I'm
right.
sorry.
What about you two assholes?
I wasn't even sitting next to him.
You guys are whispering to each other, going, "Ha ha!" It was even funny when they did this.
You were right behind him going, hey, co-host, we hate this, right? Don't we? Don't we? Don't we?
I'm sorry. You're the one who just said.
Yes, Corey, we do.
I was
Just
whispering.
said I'm not condescending to you guys about your opinions, and then he goes,
made
"The
me do
only
Yeah, that's
reason
right.
you like
You guys did that.
I was ready to walk on and just be happy and say, I was inches away from saying, Leon, I respect your opinion, man, but I got to disagree. But you didn't let that happen.
And by the way,
that happen.
yeah.
That's never happened.
And by the way, guys, I was whispering to Corey, telling him, "What the fuck are those assholes laughing at?"
We know.
Yeah, I know. You were like, Adam Sandler's not even in this. Why are they laughing?
Yeah, this is
Don't
bullshit.
worry, man. I wouldn't even. You know what? I guess gotta say I wouldn't even sit next to you. So you know what? We got way more credibility than next to
That's right. I was calling him in the theater, going, "What the fuck are those guys doing?"
In your dreams, you were calling him from the concession stand.
Yeah, he called me. Hey, Corey, is there any seats near you that got these two assholes cackling next to me?
Please, you called him on the way home. Co-host, I know you wasn't laughing back there, were you? No, sir, Corey. You know I
All
wasn't
right,
laughing.
see, that's what I'm talking about.
These guys laugh at cereal commercials, man.
But the one thing I'll say is some of the biggest set pieces in this film that are supposed to be hysterical are the ones that don't work as well. Like Jennifer Aniston's a stripper. We never really get to see her do the full strip early on in the film. We just kind of see her in her outfit. So there's going to be a point in the film where it has to, in the plot, she has to do the full stripper
Especially since
act.
it's in the trailer.
And then when it happens, you're like, are we supposed to be laughing through this? Quite frankly, I just want this to be over. You're like, she's sexy and all, but I have the internet now, and it's not like she's actually getting naked.
And she's not gonna take her top off or
Victoria's
anything.
Secret model. Yeah,
That's
Kinda feel like you
the
missed the
director.
point.
That's the director going, "Hey, you know what? Everybody loved it when you were dressing really raunchy and horrible boss.
yeah.
Let's repeat that
Yeah.
over and over again in this.
And
Sorry,
that's the part
don't
that
work.
Doesn't work, but there are what does work the best is just the banter. The banter is really genuinely funny. Lots of stuff that looks like it was probably improv on the spot that does work. Especially, like I said, when they get those 4 actors with Nick Offerman in there as well. Some of that stuff had me holding my stomach laughing. I thought.
All right,
it was so funny.
let me just say this. I think there are some parts where that chemistry does work between them. I think again is where they all are coming together and getting to know each other. Once they get into this whole thing of we're family, and then they start getting into these obvious sex jokes. It's not even a lot of things. It's not even sex jokes. A lot of them just go. A lot of this movie just goes for the easy laugh, and that's just for me.
No, you're right. It does.
And
that's wrong.
And there are a lot of and see, there's a lot of parts like you talk about Nick Offerman and Catherine Hahn, where you're right. They're another couple that meets them, and they were not funny to me. That whole thing was just leading up to them just doing a swingers joke. I did not find
you know I would agree with you there. It's like I didn't find that as funny, but it had a point later where I was like, okay, I get it. I see why I had.
But it seems so it seems so telegraphed though. I mean, like the jokes involving those characters. That's why I say this felt like a bunch of bad skits, because I've seen these guys do stuff on TV and do things that are just, I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't want to say like I'm a hierarchy of what comedy should be, but I've seen these guys.
Don't say that.
But I want to say
That the funniest joke.
I know you're saying in the mirror before you come over here.
I've seen these guys like ad-lib better things than I saw in this movie. This movie, as I like, we've been throwing that word raunchy around. I'm like, this was like, I wouldn't even want to use that word in the context of this film, because from what we've seen today in raunchy films, I mean, this seemed very tame. And even those raunchy. But the thing is, those raunchy jokes don't even work on a sitcom level.
And see, and what he's saying here is that I totally understand what you mean, man. Because here's the thing why I say that they have easy jokes too. I hate it when movies set up a story and just totally disregard any kind of logic at all. I'm not saying that the movie has to make sense. I mean, movies are fantasy worlds, but there's certain things that this movie does where this family there's a lot at stake with them, and they have points in the movie where they totally disregard that just to kind of either have a funny joke or just to keep the movie going. When a big point of this movie is you were trying to get away from the authorities, or you were trying to not be discovered by the authorities because you have an RV full of pot. I'm sorry, but when you crash off the road and make a big scene and no cops or anything show up and you just get up and just drive away, that kind of thing irritates me, because you made it a big point to say this is what they're trying to avoid, but we're not going to care right here just to kind of have this be a setup for a lame joke.
Where the story could have taken that route of having authorities come in, realizing this is good, putting them in another situation that we can all identify with, like looking at something like Blues Brothers, having a car chase, an RV chasing through the mall. That would have been
We can all identify
with that.
How many different movies are we going to have to compare this to?
I didn't compare it to any
movies
movie.
from 20 or 30 years ago.
But you know what?
I didn't compare it to anything.
Look, the thing is that when I compare these movies, it's that, I mean, it's been 30 years, so I expect a little bit more out of my comedies than just being lazy and just being telegraphed in.
And in his defense, and I know you're going to have something to say. Oh, look at that, they go, collaborating again. But the team codes.
You're coagulating.
No, listen, I know what he's saying.
I'm not going to say it, man. I want to be fair.
No, you don't. I saw your eyes. I just rolled, man. And you know what? The other thing, you suck that bottom lip whenever you want to say something.
My eyes only rolled because of the big setup you had to that. It's like, if you got something to say, just say it. I ain't gonna say nothing about you and him. Just say it.
I can say the same thing about you when you start sucking that lip and rolling those eyes. You got something to say it. I'm trying to get my shit out.
He's trying to push your buttons. I don't know what that is, man.
But listen, the reason why I'm going to defend him is because I don't think that, you co-host, because I don't think it's unfair to compare this with movies that do handle this kind of comedy better. I've seen, I guess I'm not going to even compare this to something like There's Something About Mary, which is what everybody's going to think ahead of time. But you mentioned Horrible Bosses. Horrible Bosses is something that's very unrealistic, but I mean, it was somewhat consistent with what it was doing, and it did not always go for a dirty joke, for a cheap laugh. And I'm going to say furthermore, this is in the trailer, so I can mention this. Again, when there's something that happens and you mentioned this too, Cyrus, when you're trying to do two things. You're trying to set up a scene. Now, when these guys get caught by a ruthless drug lord, it's stupid that the drug lord would say, you know what, I'm going to set myself up to be thwarted by asking Jennifer Aniston to strip to prove she's a stripper. And it does two things. It's for the drug dealer to get the drug lord to get thwarted, and it's also for, as you were saying, Cyrus, for us to see Jennifer Aniston do a stripper dance, and that irritated the shit out of me.
That was I thought one of the weakest moments in the whole film, actually, that whole thing. But there are, I don't hold any truck with your argument of saying, like, well, you know what? We've seen other comedies that are raunchy comedies that do it better, so this movie isn't worthy of consideration because there are better raunch. There's always better comedies than any other comedy. That doesn't make this comedy worse because there are better comedies.
But that doesn't make it that I can't criticize this, too, even if I don't compare it to anything.
You are comparing it, though. That's what you're saying. You're just not naming a specific movie.
Let me take any comparison out.
You did name a specific movie.
I did, but let me take any comparison out of there, and I still will say, these laughs are cheap and they're not very funny. And that doesn't, and that's just going for a script alone by itself. Don't compare it to anything, but We're the Millers. We're the Millers is weak to me.
I think what we're forgetting here is ultimately the most subjective thing in the world, or the two most subjective things, is what scares you and what makes you laugh in films. And what makes you laugh even more so. And this is one of these that, like to Leon and I, we actually found this genuinely funny, and we're able to look past a lot of the things. Yes, there are plot inconsistencies. Even some of the greatest comedies ever made have big fucking plot holes.
Most of them do, because the humor comes first. It's not like an action movie or a drama where, yes, you have to stay on the plot and with logic. But with a comedy, every comedy takes liberties all the time.
But as long as you manage to stay funny, that's less troublesome.
Yes.
And to us,
and you did find it funny. Okay, so they became sticking points with you.
You're right. You're right. You know what? You're right. Let me shake your hand.
Shaking
no,
hands.
shake your hand. You're right.
You know he's about to totally fuck you now.
I just don't want. I want to shake your hand right now.
You can make sure you can't get away now.
I do. I want to shake your hand because I don't want any friction at all when I come in and I give this movie a rental.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. As Cyrus has been like putting it so beautifully all night. It's your thing.
You fucked it up again.
But it did.
Because he defended me?
Because he went.
You want to get him some roses now, Leon?
All I'm saying is he's done a great job of summing it up and saying, look, humor is not going to affect everybody the same way. You found the laughs to be cheap and they didn't make you laugh, and so you focused on it allowed you to focus on the other things that you didn't like, and that was it. For me, I went in with mid-range expectations, and I was surprised by how much it was making me laugh and how much I've always liked Jason Sudeikis, but here he's a lead, and I was like, hey, he does a good job with this, and I like the chemistry with everybody, and I had a really good time. Just short of how I felt about Horrible Bosses. For me, it's a low full price.
I liked it not quite as much as you did, but almost. I mean, I think that some of the other plot issues did, in fact, and the inconsistencies and comedy scenes that didn't work did throw me off enough that I wasn't I wasn't as in love with this as I was with Horrible Bosses. And a lot of those parts were points too, where it's like, oh, it's time for us to do the raunchy joke. And it's just like, okay, this is just that you making sure that you get an R rating. That being said, there was so much that I laughed out loud at. There's so much that I thought was really funny. And it's really Jason Sudeikis who is the linchpin of this whole thing. It's his character, the way he delivers his lines, his sort of dry, laconic wit that really holds us together. I think he's actually a really, really funny guy, and I look forward to seeing him in more stuff. I don't think this would be as near as funny without him, though.
Sure.
I give this a high matinee.
Yeah, I thought this was lazy, boring, not funny, a bunch of bad skits put together, a bunch of actors that really didn't share too much chemistry all the time. And I think you got to be a real moron to really appreciate this kind of comedy. So I'm giving it some old bullshit.
And you know what? None of the fans are going to give him shit for saying that. But if I was to say, God, Coach, you're so dumb, I'd get 30 pages of people going, man, Cyrus is a dick.
How true it is.
I applaud what he did. He was able to stop sucking Corey's dick long enough to get that rating out.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you two while you're having a beautiful evening and dinner right now.
He started it. He made the moron comment. Hey, I will turn. Look, you and I, we had a date talk. We were respecting each other.
Guys, I will turn this review around right now.
Okay. All right, I'm done. Hey, Coach, you get my text?
Yeah, I did.
It says Leon's an asshole.
Yeah.
Have some respect. That's your mother.
I don't think you think things through.
Will you relax? How about a little music?
I seen a rainbow yesterday, but too many storms have come and gone, leaving a trace of not what God given me. Is it because my life in 10 shades of gray? I pray all 10 fade away, seldom praising for the sunny day. Don't go chasing